In the early hours of March 18, 1990, two men dressed as police officers knocked on a side door of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. They told the night watchman they were responding to a disturbance call. The guard, breaking protocol, buzzed them in. What followed was the single largest property theft in history. For 81 minutes, the fake cops roamed the museum, not with the precision of cinematic art thieves, but with a brute force approach. They tied up the two guards, smashed display cases, and crudely cut masterpieces by Rembrandt and Vermeer directly from their frames. They vanished with 13 works of art, valued today at over $500 million. To this day, the crime remains unsolved, and the empty frames still hang on the museum walls, a haunting reminder of the night cultural heritage was held hostage. This is the world of the museum heist, a high-stakes game where the prize is priceless and the tactics are a fascinating blend of brute force, clever deception, and cutting-edge technology. A successful heist is almost never spontaneous. It's the result of meticulous planning. Thieves become students of their target, analyzing everything from architectural blueprints to the daily routines of the security staff. This reconnaissance is all about finding the weak spot. Sometimes it's surprisingly simple. Take Stefan Breitweiser, a prolific thief who stole over 230 artworks in the late 90s. He and his girlfriend would visit small, often underfunded museums. Dressed stylishly to blend in, he would simply wait for a guard's lunch break, take a small painting off the wall, and hide it under his coat. His motive wasn't money. It was a personal obsession with the art itself. But not all thieves are so subtle. More sophisticated operations involve deep surveillance. In 1972, thieves pulled off the largest art heist in Canadian history at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts. They knew a skylight was under repair, and its alarm was disabled. They climbed a nearby tree to get onto the roof, used a ladder left behind by construction workers, and rappelled down into the gallery. Their loot included a Rembrandt. This wasn't luck. It was the exploitation of carefully gathered intelligence about a temporary vulnerability. The methods for actually getting inside have evolved dramatically. For decades, the most effective heists relied not on technology, but on audacity and the exploitation of human error. We already saw this with the Gardner Museum heist, where a guard-breaking protocol was the key that unlocked a $500 million treasure chest. An even more famous example is the 1911 theft of the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. The thief, Vincenzo Peruggia, was a former employee. He knew the museum's routines, or lack thereof. He simply hid in a closet overnight. The next morning, when the museum was closed, he lifted the painting, tucked it under his coat, and walked out. Incredibly, the theft went unnoticed for 28 hours. It was a failure of the most basic security imaginable. Other thieves have focused on physical weaknesses in a museum structure. In 1964, a cat burglar known as Jack "Murph the Surf" Murphy and his crew targeted the American Museum of Natural History in New York. They scaled a fence, climbed a fire escape, and slipped through an open window in the Hall of Gems and Minerals. Conveniently for them, the alarm on the display cases wasn't working. They made off with priceless gems, including the legendary Star of India sapphire. Sometimes, brute force is combined with military-style tactics. The 2000 heist at the National Museum in Stockholm was a full-on assault. While one thief held guards at bay with a machine gun, others grabbed two Renoirs and a Rembrandt. To create chaos and slow the police response, accomplices set off car bombs in other parts of the city and scattered nails on the roads leading away from the museum. The thieves made their final escape in a speedboat waiting nearby. As museum security has become more advanced, so have the criminals. We've seen the rise of the so-called Spider-Man thief. Veron Tomic earned this nickname for his incredible ability to scale Parisian buildings to steal art and jewelry. In 2010, he targeted the Musée d'Art Moderne in Paris. He reportedly used a chemical solvent to silently melt a Windows latch, allowing him to enter without triggering a single alarm. He stole 5 paintings, including works by Picasso and Matisse, worth over €100 million. This case showed a frightening evolution, bypassing state-of-the-art systems not with a crowbar, but with chemistry. And the next frontier is digital. The potential for cyber attacks is a growing nightmare for museum security directors. While we haven't seen a major, publicly documented heist executed entirely by hacking, the threat is real. Imagine a thief who never sets foot inside the museum but can disable alarms, loop surveillance footage, and unlock doors, all from a laptop miles away. This digital front is the new arms race in the world of art protection. The tools used in these heists range from the mundane to the highly specialized. Crowbars, sledgehammers, and glass cutters are still common. In the 2020 theft of a Van Gogh painting in the Netherlands, the thief simply smashed through a reinforced glass door with a sledgehammer. But more sophisticated thieves use advanced tech. Signal jammers can block wireless security cameras and alarms, creating a blind spot for guards. Night vision goggles turn darkened galleries into a clear pathway. The most advanced criminals might use malware to infect a museum's security network, or use phishing emails to trick staff into giving up passwords. Once inside, the challenge is to navigate the electronic guardians. Modern museums are a web of motion detectors, infrared beams, pressure-sensitive floors, and laser grids. Thieves either need to know the blind spots, have the technical skill to disable the system, or, most commonly, have inside information. In that 2010 Paris heist by Viran Tomic, the motion sensors and cameras were found to have been disabled for weeks, waiting for the right moment. This brings up the most persistent vulnerability in museum security: the insider threat. Experts estimate that as many as 80 to 90% of high-value art thefts involve some form of inside help. Employees, from guards to curators, have the ultimate advantage: knowledge. They know the security protocols, the blind spots, and the location of valuable items, especially those in storage, which might not be missed for months. The Mona Lisa theft was the classic inside job. A more recent and shocking example came to light in 2023 at the British Museum. It was revealed that around 2,000 artifacts, including gold jewelry and ancient gems, had been stolen over a long period. The museum's chairman called it a clear inside job, believing a trusted staff member had been altering records for years to cover their tracks. Stealing the art is only half the battle. The real challenge is turning that priceless masterpiece into cash. The very fame that makes a painting valuable also makes it nearly impossible to sell on the open market. No legitimate auction house will touch it, so the art is funneled into the criminal underworld. Here, a masterpiece might be sold for just 3 to 10% of its actual value. The more famous the piece, the lower the percentage, because the risk is so high. These hot artworks can act as collateral in other criminal deals, traded for drugs or weapons. They might also be sold to secretive, unscrupulous private collectors who are happy to keep the art hidden forever, a practice known as commissioning a theft. Another strategy is art napping. Thieves hold the artwork hostage and demand a ransom from the museum or its insurance company. This is risky, as it requires direct communication that can be traced. In some cases, a reward for information is offered, which can be a thinly veiled ransom payment. The Gardner Museum, for instance, is still offering a $10 million reward for information leading to the recovery of its stolen art. For less famous pieces, thieves can play the long game. They try to launder the art back into the legitimate market. This involves creating a fake history of ownership, a false provenance, and selling it through smaller, less than reputable dealers. After several transactions over many years, the art's stolen origins can become so obscured that it reemerges as a legitimate piece. This constant threat has created an arms race between thieves and security professionals. For every new criminal tactic, a new security countermeasure is born. Modern museum security is a multi-layered system. It starts with physical defenses like reinforced doors and windows. Inside, a dense network of high-resolution CCTV with facial recognition, advanced motion detectors that create virtual no-touch zones around exhibits, and vibration sensors that can detect a hammer blow or even a drill are becoming standard. Technology is getting even more exotic. Many museums now use radio frequency identification, or RFID tags. A tiny, discrete tag is attached to an artwork, allowing its location to be tracked in real time. If the object moves without authorization, an alarm is instantly triggered. Some high-security areas are even protected with biometrics, like fingerprint or iris scanners. Cutting-edge research is exploring gait analysis, using a person's unique walking pattern to identify them. But despite all the lasers and algorithms, the human element remains vital. A well-trained, observant security guard is often the first and best line of defense against suspicious behavior. But as the prevalence of inside jobs shows, that same human element can be the weakest link. Museum heists continue to fascinate us. They're a collision of high culture and high crime, romanticized in movies as elegant operations executed by debonair geniuses. The reality is often messier, more brutal, and driven by a complex mix of greed, obsession, and opportunity. For every thief dreaming of the perfect score, there are countless security professionals, curators, and historians working to protect our shared heritage. This ongoing battle has turned our quiet museums into technological fortresses. And yet, as history proves time and again, no system is ever completely foolproof. The art of the steal, it seems, is as timeless as the art itself. And as long as there are priceless treasures in the world, there will always be someone willing to risk everything for a chance to possess them.